So welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for the Dharma Talk portion of our Sunday Dharma program. I often say it's so nice to see the room so full, but it's so nice to see the room so full today. Like really, there's more than 35 of you in here. It's astounding. So thank you all for coming and practicing and supporting us today. This morning, giving our introductory talk is going to be David Barnes, a longtime member of the Providence Zen Center. David Barnes has been practicing with the Quantum School of Zen for some 2 decades now, so quite a bit of experience under his belt, and is one of the Dharma teachers here in our tradition. He has a wife and daughter in Middletown, and in his day job, he works as an artist and as an art teacher. And answering questions this morning is going to be Zen Master Dae Kwang. Zen Master Dae Kwang has been a monk since 1987 and received transmission in 1996. He is the guiding teacher for Zen centers in Wisconsin and Mexico. Zen Master Dae Kwang has traveled widely, leading retreats throughout North America, Europe, and Asia, including 90-day retreats in Korea. His interests include meditation practices, shocking, meditation practices common to Christians and Buddhists. So thank you both for your wonderful talks this morning.
Thank you all, actually, for sticking around for the talk. I appreciate that. And it is kind of amazing to see such a big crowd on a Sunday. So it often occurs to me when I have to give these talks, wonder what I should say. The main thing that strikes me about our human life is just how unlikely and sort of outrageous it all seems, if you think about it. I mean, we're born into this world, we have no idea how that happened, where we came from. And then after however long we die, we pass away, and we don't know when we're going to die, and we have no idea really what happens after. And then in between, we have this life in which we are mostly confused. Yeah, it kind of sums it up. So that confusion bit is interesting, though, because you look around at the world and you see all this stuff happening, suffering of all kinds taking place. And I remember when I was a kid, you first become aware of things happening, whatever, wars. That was an extreme case, but even just not getting what you want when you're a kid, you become aware of bad things happen, good things happen. You never know when a bad thing's going to happen or when a good thing is going to happen, and you're sort of thinking, well, it's going to get better, but then it gets a little better, and something else happens, and it's not so great again, and you see the whole world doing this over and over again, right? You think, well, finally. Now we've got a good political situation, everything's going to be better, and then a week later it all goes to hell, So faced with that, I mean, it takes a while to get the hang of it. Okay, it's not going to get better. I mean, permanently better. It might get better, but then it gets bad again, or whatever. So so after a little bit of that, you find yourself at the Zen Center. At least that's what happened to me. But so you come to the Zen Center, or maybe you go, you go on some sort of spiritual search, right? And there's all different ones you can, there's all different spiritual paths one could try, and Zen is just one. But the question is, why come here? And what are you going to get out of coming here that you wouldn't if you went somewhere else or tried some other practice? And the interesting thing about Zen is pretty early on they tell you that you're not going to get anything, right? You're not going to be able to get out of dying. You're not going to avoid getting the flu. You're not going to, because you practice meditation, you're not going to get wealthy necessarily because of Zen. You're not going to become famous. Well, some people do, but usually not too famous, because after all, it's a religion. Dalai Lama, all right. But basically, you don't get the things that you might want But the one thing that we do have to give you, or that you can sort of get, is your natural intuitive wisdom can appear through practice. We say you don't get anything because you kind of already have that, right? It's just you don't really see it because you're confused, right? So if you practice a Zen-style meditation, or probably other meditations, but just speaking about Zen, eventually your insight will appear, all right? And that is really an important thing to happen, because it'll help you, and it'll make it possible for you to help others in the world, right? So instead of contributing to the, I don't know, whatever, the fighting, right, you can contribute to helping out a little bit. It's just a very interesting thing, because you wouldn't think that sitting still, just paying attention to each moment, would yield what it yields. But it does. And the interesting thing about Zen practice is that's kind of what it zooms in on. Like, that's what it's all about. It's not a dogmatic kind of thing, right? It's very pragmatic. Like it's focused on the experience rather than, let's say, belief systems, right? Like, I remember one of the first talks I came to, we were having a question and answer thing, and the teacher who was answering questions, I think it was Derek. Is that his name? The guy from Poland? Anyway, I can't remember, so long ago. But pretty sure it was him, one of the Polish guys.
Derek Gazewski.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Anyway, so somebody asked Derek, who that's the first time I'd ever heard him talk, and somebody asked him, what does it mean to you to be a Buddhist? And he said, I don't know, which I thought was like a kind of surprising and unexpected answer, because you'd think, like, I don't know, if you ask like your basic Christian, or not to pick on the Christians, but just some, let's say like I was raised a Christian. If you asked me what it meant to be a Christian, I could say, it means I believe in the Father, the Son, believe in Jesus, believe in this, believe in that. But what struck me about his answer was that it seemed to be like, it seemed very honest in that he wasn't committed, he wasn't going to commit to a belief system in the sense that he was just going to keep himself open, to the moment. Because as soon as you like pile up a bunch of beliefs in your head, then it sort of becomes almost a problem if you're not careful, So Zen is very like, it's always trying to cut through your preconceived ideas, your belief systems, whatever you have that is in your mind that you are filtering the world through, And that's something that's quite unique about Zen, I think, compared to other maybe spiritual practices. The other thing is that it travels well, Like it started in India, and then it went to China, and then to, Japan, Tibet, whatever, Korea, of course, and then to America. But, it's kind of like it's like an invasive weed, right? No matter where it goes, it does well, because it always finds fertile ground, because the teachings are just so human and fundamental and not dependent upon culture at all, right? Like, you don't have to be a Korean to practice Zen Buddhism. You could be a Jew and practice Zen meditation. It's not a culturally specific thing, even though it has a, cultural flavor wherever it's practiced. Like right here, we have, mostly Korean, although it's becoming sort of Korean American now, right? Because it's been here long enough. So like the food is Korean, and it's not really Korean all the time or whatever. Things change. It adapts. Like this is Korean-looking statuary, and if we were in Japan, it would look different. But that's not the important thing, right? The important thing is the root of the teaching, which is to pay attention to your life very closely, moment to moment to moment. and then help others, right? That's pretty much our practice. So all these like trappings, all the chaotic walking we did this morning, all that, it's all part of it, but behind all that is just the fundamental teachings that we have. Well, I've got time left, so I'll just tell you something else. I don't want to make him talk the whole time. I'll tell you when I first got interested in Buddhism, because I was raised in New Jersey, and I was raised a, Protestant. You don't run into a lot of Buddhists in the 1970s in New Jersey, suburban New Jersey. Certainly my parents weren't. But when I was in 8th grade, right before you graduate, they take you to high school to do like a little tour, so it won't be so scary when you arrive, supposedly in the fall. So I was like a little kid, like in the 8th grade, I was like 115 pounds or something, a little guy, and brought us to tour the regional high school. And the regional high school was like huge compared to where I'd gone to middle school, right? It was like three towns and kids there. They just built it. It was like a 1970s architectural disaster with open classrooms and everything like that. But anyway, so we're wandering around, scared to death. Everybody looks huge. And we go into the art room, because I was interested in art, so I wanted to see the art room. And we walk in, and there's the teacher is like over in the corner, and he's this, didn't look like any other teacher I'd had up to that point. He was fairly old, and he had this big beard, and he had long hair, and this like pointy nose, and he was just dressed in just like very casually in this, like I still remember because he always wore the same thing. He had this like red sweater that he always pushed up to his elbows. And we come in, and he's like sort of laughing at us. And then he tells this kid, like, I don't remember what his name was, but he says, hey, tell them whether or not they should take an art class. And this guy was like a football player, big dude, older, looked like a grown man to me, And he's like, don't take an art class, this guy's crazy. And I was like, oh my God. But it turned out he was the first Buddhist that I met, this teacher. And then Buddhists are crazy. But when I didn't know that at first, but then when I started taking an art class with him, he was a very interesting guy because he had this totally different way of teaching and controlling the classroom. He did it mostly by being, what appeared to a high school kid as crazy, the way he addressed people, the way he controlled like what was going to happen. But the very first day of class, this is what I wanted to get to was he told a story, like the introduction to the class, and the story was like this. He said I think it was Africa. It was like on the floodplains of Africa, when it rains. You ever watch those nature shows where they show like, parts of the world that it's either raining and there's tons of life, or else it's a drought and everything's, gone. So like in a raining season, all these animals appear because there's this big lake appears in this savanna area. And there's all kinds of wildlife, and then like a whole ecosystem sort of develops because everyone's like, the birds are there for the water, and then things are going to eat the birds, and things that eat the birds are going to be eaten by something else, by a lion or whatever. So in this particular story, there's all these ducks that come, and there's a snake that lives on the side of the body of water in the reeds who likes to eat duck. That's its job, eat ducks. And but this snake, the way it hunts is that it makes a quacking sound, just like a duck. So it sits in the reeds and it goes quack, quack, right? And it must be very good at it or whatever, because sooner or later a duck comes over to see who's in the bushes there in the reeds, and then bam, no more duck, So he tells that story, and then he says, and now I have a question for you. Quack, quack, duck or snake? Okay, so that was the first time I'd heard anything like a koan kind of question. I didn't know what to make of it, and everybody was like guessing. Snake, you said wrong. Duck, wrong. And then it'd be snake, he'd be right, and they're like, what's going on with this guy? And then he just used it all the time. Like if kids were fooling around, he'd come up behind you and be like, quack, quack, snake, like, ah. So, but anyway, that was the first time I ever heard anything that was like challenged dualistic mindset that we carry around. I didn't even know what it was until, later on, read about koans and stuff. But anyway, I did think, wow, that's interesting. This guy is crazy. So that's why I study Zen. Yeah. So anyway, you don't know what life is gonna, it's very interesting, I guess, how you meet people and where you end up. And it's always surprising, Like I never would have thought I would be here talking at the Providence Zen Center back when I was a 14-year-old kid in the art room. But what it boils down to is whatever practice you pick up, whatever you're going to do in your life, if you're going to have a spiritual practice, you should commit to it 100% and look around at all the suffering of the world, and then you can make a decision on what you want to do about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Sure. So one thing that I like about Zen is it's really simple. In fact, it's beyond simple. Our job is to become what we call stupid. But it doesn't mean stupid like you don't know anything. It means stupid like you're not attached to any idea about the way things are. So this quack, quack story is about that. So right after the Buddha got enlightenment, the easiest way to understand Zen is this. The first thing the Buddha said after he got enlightenment, how wonderful, everybody already has it, but they don't know it, and because they don't know it, they suffer. So suffering comes from a misunderstanding. Well, that's good. I thought it came from the Russians or something. And then, right? So you go like that. So what it means is to just let go, and then everything is the way it is. And you don't get anything. So if you come here to get something, already you're frustrated, you're bored. I remember one of the first things that Zen Master Dae Kwang, our founding teacher, said to me, the biggest problem with Buddhism is it's so, and he used a really bad word that you all know, it's so fucking boring. So boredom is actually a technique because it returns you to what you already have, right? If you're bored, you're not expecting much to happen. Probably it's not going to happen. And it doesn't, and you win. So that's like the path of Zen is not actually a path because it doesn't lead anywhere. It is just what it already is. So if you want something, you'll notice if you look at religions, like he talked about the same thing. I look at religions on a spectrum. So on one end of the spectrum, and I don't know why this is, but they all tend to be Middle Eastern religions, like Islam and Christianity and Judaism and those. They tread heavily on belief, right? They want you to believe something, swear to it, I swear to, whatever. And then on the other end of the continuum, the one that we're not so familiar with, unless you hang around with Potawatomi Indians in Kansas like I did, is the experience and the continuum. So that end of the continuum, everything is based on experience, and we don't give a crap what you believe, right? That's why he said all kinds of people come here and practice, and that's based on that, because it's not based on belief, because we don't even care what you believe or don't believe. So what is? Zen Master Dae would always say, so what? Right? And then on the other end of the continuum is direct experience. Oh, God, that wasn't a duck, that was a... Right? So that comes from that kind of wisdom about what it means to be a duck comes from experience in the story. Because it doesn't make any difference what the duck thinks. In fact, if it thinks that that's a duck, that's a problem for the duck. So we always say, put it all down, which sounds kind of nuts. Put it all down? What the heck does that mean? And that just means put down your like and dislike mind. And then when you do that, you return to your original self. Ah! Right? So right there was like a tenth of a second of enlightenment. Because you weren't thinking about that. Was that a duck or a snake? Right? You weren't thinking that. It's just the sound. Boom. Ah! So that's a Zen technique. We're always yelling like that. Stupid. But it's kind of instructional on some other level, just before the duck is eaten by the snake. So are there any questions? Yes, please. Yeah, talk into the mic, and then everybody, even the people online, can hear you.
So it's more of a statement of gratitude, I think, than question. So both of you, thank you, and it's pretty amazing all the folks that came today. It was interesting when you were talking about, we have a start date and then there's an end date, right? And it's just that dash in between that we kind of muddle through. And I think what the practice has helped for me anyway is when you come in here, it's kind of like windshield wiper fluid, for the soul. Like you come in and sometimes you need a little bit of a windshield wiper fluid to make everything nice and clean. And it's when you have that clarity, which I think helps by being here, gives you some more insight on
Correct.
What's next.
Right.
So it's just more of a statement.
So it's like a continual cleaning process, just like you say.
Yeah, and then sometimes you need a little bit more windshield wiper fluid, and sometimes you have to buy some more windshield wiper fluid because you use a lot. But it's always that. There's always that opportunity of that.
What always amazed me is that people will get attached to Zen, so they'll think, well, Japanese Zen has to be better than Korean Zen, and Korean Zen has to be better than Chinese Zen, but that's not the way it is. So those are, that's what you're talking about is style. So style will get stuck on your windshield and you can't see out. It's interesting. Yes, please.
This is my first Zen meeting, and I've been with the Theravada tradition.
Right.
And I've been on retreats where there was a Zen retreat next to us. And I never had the nerve to ask the question, what are the outfits about?
Yeah. So everybody has a style to present themselves, right? So the New England Patriots, you recognize them right away by their helmets because they have that thing on there. And I was watching the Washington Commanders the other day, but I couldn't figure out what the heck they were about. Anyway, so that's just a kind of technique. So you don't want to attach to any of those techniques. So my friends that are Theravadan monks, they wear these long orange robes. I don't like them. But it's meaningless, right? So what if you're wearing an orange robe or a gray robe or a, dark gray robe? It's all the same because the behind meaning is the same. So it's always about the behind meaning. So Theravadan monks will teach you what the Buddha said, and so will Zen monks will trot that one out too, to make a point about something, which is don't attach to anything.
Thank you.
So I lived in Singapore for 3 years, and right across the street from us was a Theravadan temple, right? So Theravadan monks, you don't know this because you don't know monk culture, but Theravadan monks are experts at begging for crap. So they always come over and beg for stuff, but, we're good Buddhists, so we give them stuff.
Thank you.
So there you go. That and $6.50 will buy you a cup of coffee. Any other questions?
I guess I have one. Just when you were talking about suffering, like the basic part of Buddhism is non-attachment and you overcome your suffering. But I've been doing this for a long time, and there's still, there's seasonal depression, things happen in life that are hard to digest, that take time, emotions go in their own pace. I've just wondered if you have some wisdom about that, because sometimes you're just stuck in that and you have to just go through it.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah. Well, my theory is when you're stuck, just stay stuck. And then something will happen. Right? So if you're forced into a retreat, let's say, okay. So I'm in my Theravadan retreat, I'm in my Japanese Zen retreat, I'm in my who knows what retreat. Then what they're trying to do is put you into a spot where you have to look at yourself. So these are all techniques so you can see what you really are. And nobody likes what they are, that's for sure. I don't. So then you get to sit there and look at that crap. And then more familiar with it, and I don't know why this is, you just get so bored, you can let go of it when you see it clearly. I think mostly, this is just my theory, but mostly you get hooked into it because you don't really recognize what it's doing, And so it gets a hold of you somehow, emotionally. But if you sit there enough, you realize that there's really no emotion involved in, I know in Korean Zen, it's just plain old boredom. Welcome. Right. So that's always it's not to attach to any of that stuff. And then when you don't attach to it, it's not that it goes away. Unfortunately, you're pretty locked in, everybody's pretty locked into their karma. It's not that it goes away, you just don't attach to it. And then you can use it. So that's the Zen idea. You don't let your karma use you, you use your karma to help other people. And that's what the helping other people is about. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't, but do it. It's about, in Buddhism, it's always about doing it, not believing it. And that's that continuum again. That continuum plays into everything. It's amazing. Yeah, please.
I've been trying to formulate this, and I'm not sure how, but I'll just kind of blabber on, and hopefully something coherent will come out. It's just all, so messy and complicated, and there are moments where you pay attention, and there's the moment of awareness.
Right.
And there's stillness in that, emptiness in that. But then there's a moment where you need to do something in the world, and you have to act. And I've been spending a lot of time just paying attention and being still. And I've noticed that maybe sometimes I don't know what to do next. What's the wise move next? And I was sitting there, trying to put this into words and trying to formulate the question. And I realized that I was going to get up and ask this question. And I realized, well, I don't have to. I can just sit and just be with that uncertainty. What's compelling me to ask the question? Maybe I won't even ask the question. But then I said, well, no, get up there and ask the question. And then the answer will be, well, you asked the question, you did something, and I don't know why I'm asking the question, but I did.
Exactly.
So there you go.
Exactly.
I'll take your response over.
Right. So that's it. Actually, in our school, we teach don't know, right? So that's easy. You don't have to memorize anything. You don't have to know anything. You don't have to be smart. You can be as stupid as you want, because our teaching is based on don't know, right? But that don't know has a direction. That's the big point. It's about helping other people. So that's a kind of attachment, actually. So you're sitting there trying to get rid of your attachments, but actually you're sitting there to enhance one attachment, and that's helping other people. And that's the don't know part. So it's not a conceptual idea or anything that you're reaching for. It's don't know. But everybody already has that, because who in the hell knows? If anybody knows, raise their hand, because I'd love to hear it. Right? So that's what you're talking about. That's exactly the point, is to let go of everything, then help other people. So the Buddha said, or we say Zen is find your true self, that's your don't know self, and help the world. Well, if you're going to help the world, you're going to be attached to something, right? Maybe it's an idea, maybe it's a good idea, like you had a good idea to ask a question, or maybe it's a bad idea, boy, that was a stupid question, right? But you don't know. So you just do it. So our teaching comes from this Chinese phrase called Wu Wei. So that concept is a little bit weird. Wu Wei means no action. Wu is no, Wei is action. So no action, but it's not about no action. But it's called no action, which is really stupid. So Zen Master Sung had this brilliant translation of Wu Wei, and he translated it as just do it. Unfortunately, when he did that translation, we didn't have it. Exactly. If we had, we'd be really rich here. But he didn't. So that's why you can't always take, like, what do the Chinese say about Zen? Well, so what? It's a behind meaning that has to do with your before thinking mind. So you can't describe the before thinking mind. Right? Huh? What does that mean? You don't even know what it means. Good. Because it doesn't mean anything that you can think about it or conceptualize it and write a good book about it. Because it is bigger than all of that stuff. Way bigger. In fact, I can't even talk about how big it is. It's so big. So that's your don't know mind. And that's your true self. Well, we call it your true self, but that's fake, because there is no self. And even if there was, which one would be true, right? But we call it that. But those are just memes, or they're like, in Zen we say they're like fingers pointing at the moon, right? So I don't know where the moon's at these days. It's pretty foggy. But you can point to the moon, but, what's your finger have to do with the moon, even if you point at it correctly, right? So we're all in that kind of situation. We have all these words, and some of the words are crap. Some of them are good. Some of them are intuitive and wisdom, you know. But in the end, they're all just crap, and you have to find out what they really mean. They're before thinking meaning, right? And we call that the don't know meaning. So that's why what I teach is actually nothing. That's why my job is so easy. There's no easier job than my job, because there's nothing to do. It's completely ridiculous. So welcome. Any other questions? A quick one.
Okay, so sometimes you want to do something, and maybe you have an idea whether it's the wrong thing to do or the right thing to do, but you're never sure.
Right.
And sometimes you do something and you help one person, but you hurt another person.
That's right.
So how do you know?
Yeah. So you don't know. However, doing it will give you the wisdom about what it is, and then you fix it. So Zen Master Dae Kwang says, just do it, and then if it's a mistake, fix it. But everything in life is like that, right? If you drive out of the parking lot here and you hit the trash can, then back up and go around it. Be my advice. That's life. Everybody has a trash can in front of them, so you just want to miss it if you can. But most important is this do it. So, what?
You forget my name.
What?
David. No, I thought you were going to ask my name.
No, I wasn't. Like he said, like David said. You know, it doesn't result in anything, so you just do it. But that's the extreme end of the continuum over here on the action end, right? So when you just do it, just like the Nike shoe ad says, too bad we didn't trademark it. So life is like that. You just do it because you don't know what the result's going to be. Are you going to live long enough to get out of this room after this talk? You have no idea. Absolutely zero idea. But, you know, probably everybody will. At least today. I don't know if I'd come to the next talk or not. So there you are. And that's don't know. Don't know is like the essence of life, but for some, I don't know why it is, but these religions in the Middle East, they have, there's some result, you know, to it. But these religions over here in China, they don't know what's going to happen. Another question? God. Yes.
How does all of that reduce suffering?
What?
How does all of that, don't know, only go straight, just do it, how does that reduce suffering for us and others?
So suffering comes from attachment, right? You're attached to what you like and what you don't like. So maybe you don't like white guys from Nebraska or something, I don't know. Or maybe you do like white guys from Nebraska. But that idea will lead to suffering if you're attached to it. I know plenty of white guys from Nebraska, and you don't want to attach to them, I know that for sure. But that kind of stuff is, you know, that's going on inside a human being's brains all the time, you know. Why would you want to shoot down a plane over Azerbaijan, you know, just after it's leaving the Caspian Sea, it gets shot down? Who's winning and who's losing? Well, you know, There's no winning and no losing. It's just suffering. So suffering comes from your attachment to what you like and also what you don't like, right? So if you let go of that, then that's relief from suffering. If it has, and it should have direction, right? You're not doing that for you, because there is no you, even there is no David. So you're just letting go and become one with this moment. So we always talk about becoming one. So the only thing you can become one with is this moment, right? You can't become one with the past because it doesn't exist anymore. Have you ever noticed there's no past? So nobody here, there's 30-some people here, nobody can give me even 1 second of the past. You know, and we're always sitting around thinking, oh God, when's this boring talk going to be over? Oh shit. You know, but you can't give me even 1 second of the first part of this boring talk. And you can't give me 1 second of what's going to happen after you leave this room. Nobody has that. Even billionaires like Musk can't give you the future. Even though they have it's really cool, that missile that they can capture is called the chopstick. Because the thing that captures the missile acts like chopsticks. Don't have that. Sorry. So that leaves you with just now. So that's why we're always talking about just now mind, or he said that we live in a moment world. So you live in this moment, in this world, and there are no other worlds. Because we live in a moment world. And everybody is in that situation. Whether you have $1 billion or you have $2 like me, you're stuck in this moment world. And that's where we live. Then you have to use what you have now to help the world. That's our job as bodhisattvas. So thank you for coming and listening. And just do it. Then you get it. Thinking, you just get a headache, believe me. You already know that, though.
Thank you both for your thoughts today.
You're
I've
welcome.
been asked to take a picture for marketing purposes of the large group we have here today, so everyone smile. Okay, I've taken 3 or 4 of them, so hopefully this should. I was going to toss it, and then I had a second thought about that. Okay, just a couple of announcements to go ahead and wind us down then. First and foremost, we are coming up on the new year and the end of 2024, thank God. And in our traditional New Year's fashion, we're going to have a New Year's practice here at the Zen Center. This is going to start at 11:30 at night, and there's going to be some meditation and chanting into the new year. So it's a really wonderful way to go into 2025 with some clarity, with some wisdom, and spending some time around your Sangha as well. So you are all invited to come and attend that. If you choose to come, you are welcome to stay here at the Zen Center overnight as well. So we'll have accommodations for you. So please consider coming and joining and ringing in 2025 with us here at the Providence Zen Center. After that, we're going to have our Winter Kyolche starting January 4th. Our Winter Kyolche is our 3-month-long meditation retreat up at the beautiful Diamond Hill Zen Monastery. You can sign up online at providencezen.org, and you can sit in intervals of a week or more. We do require that you already have some experience in our retreat style before going up to the monastery. So if you do have some experience with us, please consider signing up for Kyolche. The first week will be led by our very own Zen Master Dae Kwang. We're going to have an upcoming 4 retreats with Zen Master Tangan, Jose Ramirez. We're going to have 2 traditional one-day retreats, 1 Foundation of Zen retreat, and a Christian Buddhist retreat. And finally, 2 retreats in hybrid format, which will be both on Zoom and in person. I think that's more than 4, but either way. For future retreats and events, please look online at providencezen.org. We also will continue our dinner and practices on Wednesday night, so we have a public communal dinner at 5:30, which everyone is welcome to come and join us for. Last and not least, the Kwan School of Zen Americas, the holiday fundraiser is in full swing, and currently the school is raising money for a variety of efforts to support the Dharma in our Zen centers across the country, and part of that is some of these proceeds are going to go fix the beautiful roof we have up on the monastery. So please consider contributing. You can also directly donate to the Providence Zen Center itself. We do rely on you for 30 to 40% of our operating income each year. So if you'd like to donate, you can do so online at providencezen.org or near our donation box near the front. And that is the end of my announcements list. Is there anything else, Kwan Hansini?
No, not that I can think of.
Thank you all for coming, and please join us for snacks and tea outside.
I just wondered, is the store going to be open? Yeah, the store's going to be open this month.
I want some pizza. It's good. Yeah, they're cooking up.